Shalom, all praises, glory, and honor unto Yahweh, Ba'asham, Yahweh Shai, Ba'asham, Rakah HaKodash. Double honors unto the apostles and the bishops and the elders of Great Millstone that rule well through the scriptures. Peace to the 144,000 and the rest of the hopeful elect. I am the brother Kaya from GMS Indianapolis, the branch of Indiana. The original Gary camp is GMS It Will Not Tarry 2. And you see this little short on screen. Some of the Epstein files have been quote unquote released, so to speak. And now some of the things on the files are, brought up in discussion, topics of conversation. And one thing about the devil, Esau, Edom, the Caucasian race, those that are in power, the powers that be, those that are in rulership, is always the overplay for the underlay, which is a saying that means they give you one thing on one side to distract you from the other side. So if they're releasing these documents and they're showing us certain things, what more are they doing? All right, which leads me to the scripture in Isaiah 47. All right, real quick. Isaiah 47. Maybe 10. It says, but it's actually, hold on. Stand now with thine enchantments and with the multitude of thy sorceries, wherein thou hast labored from thy youth. See, this race of people, their right hand, their wisdom has always been rooted in enchantments and sorcery and witchcraft. If so be thou shalt be able to profit, if so be thou mayest prevail. And it's helped them all this time up until now. Verse 13, thou art wearied in the multitude of thy counsels. Let now the astrologers, the stargazers, the monthly prognosticators stand up and save thee from these things that shall come upon thee. So basically now their time is up, because with their enchantments and with their sorceries, all right, and with their secrecy, one of the main things that they had was secrecy, right? That's why it says in Isaiah 25:7, it says, and he will destroy in this mountain the covering cast over all people and the veil spread over all nations, right? So for years, centuries, and decades, they had to hide their nefarious acts, right? And now it's all coming out. 2 Thessalonians 2:8. And then shall that wicked be revealed, and shall be consumed with the spirit of the Lord's mouth, and destroyed with the brightness of his coming. First comes the exposure, then comes the destruction. So without further ado.
Столетиями набивать брюхо человеческой плотью, а карманы деньгами. Но они должны понять, что бал вампиров заканчивается.
See that? You heard what he said. Now I'm going to play this video. I haven't got a chance to watch it, but I was speaking on it. A brother watched it and he was telling me about it. And without further ado.
The nastiest shit I've ever read. They said Donald Trump, the president, had parties at Mar-a-Lago called calendar girls. Jeffrey Epstein would bring the children in and Trump would auction them off. He measured the children's vulva and vaginas by entering a finger and rated the children on tightness. The guests were elder men and included Elon Musk, Donald Trump Jr., and Ivanka Trump.
What the?
Mind you, this is only one thing that happened on this list. And there's, what is it? It was 3 million shit?
3 million files. They deleted that.
And
they forgot that one.
Some would auction off children. These are the people that are in office.
These niggas They measured them with their what, bro? Oh my god, bro. No, this is actually like no. This should be world shattering to everybody. Regardless of whether or not you were prepared for it or you're used to hearing this shit, this should light a fire in you that understands that your government is being ran. If you support this nigga, bro, when it came out, right? When Trump won and niggas was like, I'm like, come on guys, we can still be friends. It's
a lot here, man. God damn.
The nastiest shit I've ever read. They said Donald Trump, the president, had parties at Mar-a-Lago called Calendar Girls. Jeffrey Epstein would bring the children in and Trump would auction them off. He measured the children's vulva and vaginas by entering a finger and rated the children on tightness. The guests were elder men and included Elon Musk, Donald Trump Jr., and Ivanka Trump.
What the?
Mind you, this is only one thing that happened on this list. And there's... What is it? It was 3 million shit?
3 million files. They deleted that.
And
they forgot that one.
Auction off children. These are the people that are in office.
These niggas, they measured them with their what, bro? Oh my god, bro. This is actually like no. This should be world shattering to everybody. Regardless of whether or not you were prepared for it or you're used to hearing this shit, this should light a fire in you that understands that your government is being ran. If you support this nigga, bro, when it came out, right? When Trump won and niggas was like, I'm like, come on guys, we can still be friends. It's just politics. No. If you support this bitch ass nigga after hearing that, I don't support no pedophiles. Gang.
No, trigger warning on the word I'm about to say. It's like, yo, I'm reading this list and the word rape is in every single paragraph. These are rapists. These are pedophiles. These are the scum of the earth that y'all have let into this office.
Multiple times.
And that are leading this country.
If that is not enough for you to stand in opposition to every single goddamn thing that they do, nothing will ever be enough for you.
Elon Musk.
Elon Musk. Trump low-key told us.
So
when he was first starting, grabbed him by the...
I guess I can't pause.
He already told y'all he was doing that shit.
We already seen the pictures of him with Epstein in the 90s. Talking about the British royal family in this list. Jesus, Andrew Cuomo's in this list. Holy
God! Alright, killing guys, it's almost like the kinds of people we've been talking about do actually share the same class.
Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, John W. Nicholas, Linda Kitts. Yeah, it's just wild. And they just deleted.
Get all these niggas.
Guys,
get all these niggas. No, get all these niggas. Lock them up.
There's no conversation in defense. They just uploaded it and deleted it because they're like, oh fuck, this might tear it all down.
They were already legally past the deadline. They already were committing a crime, not releasing it when they were. They were stalling for so long to hide that, and they still didn't hide it. Yeah, get them all gone. Get them all gone.
So be expecting something major to happen, maybe a T attack or another virus to subvert and sway people's opinion and attention away from this. All right, but the young man said Donald Trump, right, as if to single him out as individual, but the scripture says what? Sirach 10:2. It says, as the judge of the people is himself, so are his officers. And what manner of man the ruler of the city is, such are all they that dwell therein. So the same thing that happened amongst, local citizens, John Wayne Gacy's and, other people. See, amongst these Edomites, you have a lot of nefarious crime. They just don't publicize them as often as they do. Because this stuff is happening amongst the higher ups as well. That's what the scripture is telling you. They're all doing it. All classes, because this is what this society is. That's the type of nation that this country is. Look who's running it. The Edomites are running it. Now, when you look up Dracula, right, which I forget his name, right? He was based off a real individual. He was the prince of Wallachia. What was the man's name? Him and his brother were captive under the Turkish Empire. Then they was released. Ah, man, I can't even think of his name right now. Hold on, man. This is bothering me.
Get them all gone. Get them all gone.
Dracula. Where there was an order called the Order of Dracul. I can't. That's crazy. Vlad, right. Vlad the Third, the Prince of Wallachia, but it's really Wallachia, right? Now, he might have been a Levite, but this guy in his kingdom, right? Just to give you a quick example, in his kingdom, he's the Prince of Wallachia. In his kingdom, there was harsh punishments and penalties against crime. Like, he didn't play that. Like, there's an incident where this one guy left, it was like a bag of gold left in the street. And one visitor was, I might be messing the story up a little, but long story short, the visitor was worried about it, and he told him, you ain't got to worry about it. Ain't nobody gonna touch it. They don't steal in my kingdom. All right? But, so his kingdom was, pardon me, ran like that, so to speak, where you didn't have to worry about your gold getting stole. But in this kingdom, you got to worry if your children are playing in the street. All right? Psalm 12 and 6. See, when I was a child, we wasn't even 12 years old. We was 11, 10, 9, and 8, and we shouldn't have been doing this, but sometimes we was in other cities playing. Definitely in other towns. But we was in other cities, getting on your bike, going somewhere. That's unheard of right now. Psalm 12 and 6. 12 and 8, pardon me. The wicked walk on every side when the vilest men are exalted, and the vilest men have been exalted. The Caucasian. And you can say what you can say what you want to say. What kingdom compared to you in wickedness? You gotta go, you gotta go to Rome. You gotta go to Greece. Because that's your origins. Which is the kingdom of Edomites, which your origins predate that. You are the Edomites that the Bible speak of. But the only thing that's comparable to the rulership of you people are yourselves. That's why it says what? In First Maccabees 1 and 9, let me grab that real quick. What was I going to grab first? Yeah, I'll grab that later. First Maccabees 1 verse 9. And after his death, verse 7. So Alexander reigned 12 years and then died. Alexander who? Alexander the Greek. Y'all call him the Great, right? We all know who that is. Yes, he's mentioned in the Bible. And his servants bear rule, everyone in his place. And after his death, they all put crowns upon themselves. Who? His 4 generals. So did their sons after them many years, and evils were multiplied in the earth. See, this race of people multiply evils. You can look at other civilizations and they got evils too. But you take the cake. Job 30. But now they that are younger than I have me in derision. The Edomites have the Israelites in derision. The so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans are in derision under these people, whose fathers I will have disdained to have set with the dogs of my flock. So we wouldn't even let your ancestors, your fathers, sit with the dogs of our flock. You were lord and dogs. Yeah, you were lording dogs. You don't think so? Look at what you do. You fornicate and have sex. You have sex with anything. You don't differentiate between clean and unclean. All right, you're perverse. You're just against. You love what's ever against the Bible. You love it. You don't know why. You was just made that way. I deal with Edomite women. I have dealt with Edomite women on occasion. They're a perverse group of people. You know, you keep them relaxed, right? You get them to open up some of the things they've done, some of the things they want to do, as long as you don't have any judgment on it. Sometimes I've done that just to see how far they'll go, and conversationally, to take the judgment out of my tone, ask them questions and stuff like that. Yeah, it's a vile group of people. Yeah, whereto might the strength of their hands profit me, in whom old age was perished? For want and famine they were solitary, fleeing into the wilderness in former time, desolate and waste. Yeah, this is your caveman history. And you read that book, The 13th Tribe by Arthur LaCosta, it tells you some of the things y'all were doing, right? Using skulls as cups, eating bugs off your own body, out of your pubic hairs, having sex right in front of visitors and foreigners. Even now, a lot of you Israelite women, you so-called black women, you so-called Latino women, so-called Native American women, you have white so-called Edomite Caucasian boyfriends, and your bedroom stink, right? A little dookie smell in your sheets because they don't wipe properly. They don't shower properly. They don't use soap. They don't use not dish rags, pardon me. They don't use wash rags, washcloths. They scoff at it. They disdain it. They got podcasts about so-called white people talking about how washcloths are for poor people. How they don't wash their body in the shower. They just wash their hair and let it run down. Hey, some stereotypes are true. All right. The stereotype of Caucasian people not being so hygienic it's a true thing. That's why you watch those not old videos. You ever seen the old books? They show the Moors washing up the Edomite women. Yes, this is called soap. Get you a rag with a level of abrasiveness and wash and scrub your body. Yeah. It says, who cut up mallows by the bushes and juniper roots for their meat. They were driven forth from among men. They cried after them as after a thief. Right. Just like how that one group of people kicked out of every country because culturally you're vile. You know, cultures got their own practices and their own abnormalities. All right. But yours are you're just the worst. You're the bottom of the bottom. To dwell in the cliffs of the valleys, in the caves of the earth, and in the rocks. Yeah, Caucasian cave dweller. Among the bushes they brayed, under the nettles they were gathered together. They were children of fools. Yeah, children of base men. They were viler than the earth. So you're worse than a pile of shit, right? To be viler than the earth. At least manure can help replenish the earth somehow. You can't help at all. You didn't invent anything profitable to the world. The world doesn't need you. That's a lie that your forefathers told you for you to feel better about yourself. But the more history you found out about other civilizations, especially the so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, the more you find out just how inferior and unnecessary your existence actually is. Right? And that's just true. All right, I want to look that word up. Base. Sham. Name, reputation, fame, glory, right? So you're infamous. Let me see. Belial. Wearing out. Adverb of negation. Corruption, properly failure. Nothing or destruction. Corruption. Let me see what they got here. Failure, defect. You're the defect. All right? Infamy. I said that word earlier. Infamous is to be famous for something negative. Without waters. Waters represent counsel of the Lord. You don't have it. All right. Now, what did the Lord say? The Lord put over the Daniel, right? I spelled another word. Daniel 4:17. This matter is by the decree of the watchers and the demand by the word of the holy ones, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men and giveth it to whomsoever he will. That's why different civilizations ruled. The Most High gave it to him and set it up over it the bases of men. And the last civilization to rule before his son Yahushua comes and take over will be the bases of men. All right? The worst, the bottom of the bottom. Right? Shapal, lowliest. They were there, verse 14 too. I don't know what they have. Okay. All right, back in Daniel, I want to look up vile as well. Job 30:8. Was it 8? They were viler than the earth. I'm going to go to the chat too. What does it mean to be viler than the earth? Nakah, to scourge, smite. All right, let's see what they say. And see what they got for us in the AI. Come on, man, shit. The phone want to act crazy. All right, I'm just going to, Children of fools. Their parents were foolish, ignorant, or they themselves are foolish and lacking wisdom. Yeah, they are a nation without counsel. Their parents, their ancestors, their progenitors, right? Cain, all right? Esau. Children of base men, men of no name, in some translations, from obscure, nameless, low-status families with no reputation, honor, or lineage, social nobodies. That's why they stole names. All right? The name stealers. They stole whole heritages because they are a culture of rape, robbery, and murder. They stole, that's why when you read Sirach 12:10, it says, never trust thy enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so does his wickedness. And when you keep reading that chapter, it says, set him not by thee unless he seek to steal thy place. That's why the same way you had the Hasmonean dynasty, then you had the Herodian dynasty with Herod. Herod was not an Israelite. All right, he perpetrated one, right? And those royal families, they're not the original royal families. They perpetrated them. All right. When you go into the history, Israelite leaders, so-called black leaders of Europe, made pacts and agreements with those Khazarians through marriage, and over time, their authority was usurped. They don't have, let me read that again, children of base men of no name, from obscure, nameless, low status, families with no reputation, honor, or lineage, social nobodies. Viler than the earth, lower or more contemptible than the very ground they walk on or are driven from. What's more contemptible than a pile of shit that you see when you're walking? You don't want to step in that, even in some raggedy ass shoes. Earth here emphasizes their worthlessness. They are scourged, outcast from society, unfit even for the land. Because they destroy the land. They destroy everything. Like the Tasmanian devil. Just a whirlwind, just destroying everything in its path. Using everything and just using it up. Not caring for it properly, nothing. Because why? They are cursed from the earth. What did the Lord tell Cain? Let's see what the chat said about that. Let's see what they say about that. Cursed from the earth. Aratazah. Right? See, you're not meant to be here. There's no synergistic relationship with you and the earth the way it's supposed to be with man and the earth. The earth give you and you give it. All right? Let's see what it says. Cursed from the earth, or cursed more than the ground. Cain is directly cursed in relation to the soiled ground, Adama in Hebrew, link it back to Adam's name and the curse in Genesis. Unlike Adam, whose ground was cursed for his sake, making toil harder, Cain himself is cursed from the earth, meaning the ground will no longer yield its strength to him. His farming labors will fail. That's why you got your GMOs. The earth resists and rejects him as it received Abel's blood. So you're rejected. You're rejected from the Most High, right? And you're rejected from the earth. Now the only thing left is for you to be ejected. So I'm going to look at this video now. Let's see. Oh, I got to play it up already. All right.
I'll go straight into it because, well, I'd need 3 times the length of this monologue even to begin to do justice to the explosion of feces, human, political feces, which has occurred since the dropping of not 3 million, they lied about that as they're lying about everything else, but 2,700,000 pages. I wonder what was in the
Now, who the hell finna read? Who got 2,700,000 pages? Especially now with the average attention span of somebody. Who for 2 million? Come on, man.
other 300,000 pages. I wonder what was in the other 3 million pages, because they had 6 million pages at the beginning of Pam Bondi's revelations. But the revelations that have emerged are simply devastating to the entire credibility of the Western political, media, and business class. They're all in it. It's one big, dirty club, and you're not in it. And thank your lucky stars for that. For the secrets that have tumbled out of this latest dump, and I use the word advisedly, a sewage dump, the revelations that have dumped on us are truly breathtaking. We're talking about male rape. We're talking about female rape. We're talking about child rape. We're talking about child impregnation. We're talking about male sodomy of drugged victims. We're talking about president after president of the American Republic accused in FBI documents of raping men and women, boys and girls. We're talking about murder. We're talking about cannibalism. We're talking about the eating of human flesh sacrificed in satanic rituals. And it's all in the Epstein files. Now, where does one begin with a dump like that? Well, let's start with the royal families. The British royal family tonight is in ruins. Its credibility was never great, not after the way that now King Charles treated Princess Diana, the mental torture that he inflicted on her, his marriage to the equine so-called Queen Camilla. I say so-called because...
And I'll leave that there. I'll get some scriptures. Okay. Wisdom of Solomon 12. That's why they want to get rid of the Bible. Verse 4, whom thou hatest for doing most odious works of witchcrafts and wicked sacrifices, and also those merciless murderers of children and devourers of man's flesh and of feasts of blood, with their priests out of the midst of their idolatrous crew, and the parents that killed with their own hands souls destitute of help. See, that's them. That's what they do. Remember that movie Eyes Wide Shut? Well, there's an alternative ending that, Stanley Kubrick, he died before this movie came out. Or did they silence him because he was doing too much? He also filmed the moon landing as well. The moon lander was a Hollywood production filmed by Stanley Kubrick. All right. The alternative ending was the daughter that Tom Cruise had. Was it Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman in that movie? I don't know. Can't remember. But they had to give her up to the elites. All right. But they don't show that in the original. And when you read this chapter, it's talking about the original inhabitants of the Holy Land, which are Africans, Canaanites. All right. But Esau Edom, he always imitate the Africans and the Canaanites. And this applies to him because he's in the Holy Land doing those same things now. All right. And with that being said, I'm going to play a little bit more of this video. I'm going to jump
because
though.
I was in Parliament that Donald...
This is what would happen to a man over 50 if he
Yeah,
started using the Hume
jump.
Health Pod every day for a month. After his
He
first
gonna
scam,
say something.
Trump, the president of the United States, was raping young girls and smacking them across the face because one of them protested that he hadn't worn protection. He slapped her on the face and said, "You'll have to get an abortion," and he threw money at her for the abortion. This is the man on whom they lay hands. These evangelical maniacs think he's the son of Christ.
Fair
Well, he is
use,
actually the
fair
son of
use.
Christ. His father was called Christ. But that's the place we're in. Bill Gates, that we were told for 25 years was a paragon of humanity. We were treated to his views on every subject under the sun, is revealed to be discussing with Epstein how he can get antibiotics to sprinkle in his wife's martini because he has contracted a sexually transmitted disease from a Russian prostitute and had presumably therefore passed it on to his wife. Gates, Diamond, all these magnates, plutocrats, they were all revolving around Jeffrey Epstein. And I hope it's not anti-Semitic to make this point. Is it anti-Semitic to point out?
Yeah, they always want to call you that word when you bring out the truth, right? Mm-hmm. Isaiah 59:15. Yeah, truth faileth, and he that departed from evil maketh himself a prey. And the Lord saw it, and it displeased him that there was no judgment. Right? Because Habakkuk speaks about the wicked compassing the righteous, therefore the wrong judgment proceeded. So because these evil people are in power, ain't justice doesn't happen. And here it is, you trying to do right, and you're deemed as the bad guy. All right. Isaiah 29:21. That make a man an offender for a word, and lay a snare for him that reproveth in the gate, and turn aside the just for a thing of naught. Let's see what the chats say about that scripture. I'm on a Grok, which is AI for X, formerly known as Twitter. Let's see what they say. It says, they condemn or indict someone for a mere word, often an innocent, inadvertent, or unwisely spoken remark, or even for speaking truth, preaching the word of God, reproof, or gospel. This twists harmless speech into offense to criminalize or silence dissent, right? Because we're witnesses against them. All right. You know, like a mobster. All right. There's a witness that got testimony that'll put them away for good, and then they kill the witness. Well, the same thing can be applied now. Commentators note it echoes how hypocrites and false accusers watch for slips to entrap the righteous. Lay a snare for him that reproved in the gate. The gate was the public place of justice, where elders, judges sat to hear cases and reprove sin openly. These corrupt ones set traps, snares, and entanglements for honest reprovers, judges, prophets, or bold citizens, which are us. But you remember that one guy who was supposed to preside over BB Netanyahu or Wachowski's case. Remember how he came up missing, right? Let's look that up real quick. Right? See how he came up missing? Man, when you update your phone, boy. Who was to prosecute, let me see, was to prosecute Benjamin. See what they say. Oh, yeah. Based on reports, Israeli judge Benny Sagi, involved in Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's corruption trial, died in a road accident in January 2026. The incident involved a vehicle accident leading to condolences from Israeli soldiers. As of February 2026, Netanyahu has remained silent on the event. How convenient. Maybe he didn't want to play ball. You know how that go. Netanyahu's cases judge killed in suspicious incident. See? Anyway, it says, these corrupt ones set traps for honest reprovers, judges, prophets, or bold citizens who call out wickedness publicly. They use deceitful questions, false accusations, or legal tricks to discredit or destroy them. Turn aside the just for a thing of naught. They pervert justice against the righteous, innocent, denying them fair judgment for a thing of naught, empty pretext, trivial nothing, false charge, or worthless bribe, argument. The just are sidelined, defrauded, or condemned on baseless grounds.
Gigantically
and then they throw that word. You're anti this. That's baseless. Here, you're anti-life.
Proportionate number of Jews and Israelis and dual Israeli nationals in this farrago of filth that is revealed in these files. I'm asking on behalf of some Pakistani friends in England who are constantly being demonized as somehow uniquely involved in these kind of sexual shenanigans. But they're not sexual shenanigans. It's a big mistake to treat them that way. These are not sexual shenanigans. These are high crimes. These are crimes that should see these men locked up forever.
Right. So Wisdom of Solomon, see, Wisdom of Solomon 14 and 22 says, moreover, this was not enough for them, that they erred in the knowledge of the Most High. But whereas they lived in the great war of ignorance, those so great plagues called they peace. For whilst they slew their children in sacrifices, or used secret ceremonies, or made revelings of strange rites are rituals, they kept neither lives nor marriages any longer undefiled. Orgies, sexual perversion, bestiality, but either one slew another traitorously. See, this is Rome all over again. See, when they come out with these shows, right? Gladiator and all that. Pay attention to what's happening in the background. Yeah. You seeing naked women and you seeing vaginas and a lot of sex scenes and there's blood and gore and they fighting. But look at the politics behind the scenes. That's Caucasian Edomite rule. That's how they get down. You look at the Caesars, how they was killing each other and doing whatever they were doing. They were related. You look at World War I and II, France and Europe and Germany and England and the beefs. Those kings, they were related. First cousin, second cousin, third cousin, they were related. This is how they get down. Just like what? The majority of these presidents and senators are what? Related. And beefing with each other. Or grieved him by adultery. Sharing women. What's happening, like we read earlier in Sirach 10 and 2, what's happening amongst the common folk is happening amongst the elite. So as the judge, so are the officers and all the people. All right? This whole place is Gotham, right? So that there reigned in all men without exception blood, manslaughter, theft, and dissimulation, corruption, unfaithfulness. No one keeps their word, tumults, perjury, disquieting of good men, messing with honest folk, forgetfulness of good turns. People help you to get up the ladder and then you pull up the ladder so they can't climb behind you. Defiling of souls. Changing of kind. All right? Men, women, men. Transgenderism. Pardon me. Disorder in marriages, adultery, and shameless uncleanness. All right? And it's all coming out. So the fact that it's all coming out is letting you know the Lord coming back. First comes the exposure, then comes the destruction. All right? Jeremiah 49 and 10. But I have made Esau bare. I have uncovered his secret places, and he shall not be able to hide himself. His seed is spoiled. And all while this happening, the Edomite race, the so-called white race, the Caucasian race is spoiled, declining. Birth rates in America for the so-called white race is under 50% for the first time in history. Those opioids wearing them out. Their women want to get with so-called black men, Latino men, Native American men. They're openly saying how they don't want to be with white men. They don't want to date them. They're openly. Their mother is so-called white, their father is so-called white, and they're telling them, I'm not getting with a white man. All right. Hell, they getting their tubes tied. They're on all type of birth control and contraceptives. And his brethren and his neighbors, and he is not. All right, so with that, Lord's will, this was an edifying lesson to the hopeful elect. All praises, glory, and honor unto Yahweh, Ba'asham, Yahushai, Ba'asham, Rakah, HaKodash, Shalom.